I'm thrilled with the number of people we have involved. I'm very excited. As we embark upon this whole building renovation project, the goals for this group are going to be to set the groundwork for what's going to be going on for the short and the long term. Not only what will we be doing with our elementary housing project, but moving forward from there. This is my first time through a charrette of this length, so I'm looking forward to working with the Schrader Group, and you'll be meeting them in a minute. I have a philosophy about buildings that I've been sharing with the board and with Slack and with my administrative team and with the architectural firm, in that I'm looking for buildings that really help and enhance the instructional process. Also, I think it's important to think about technology and what that's going to mean for new buildings and for renovated buildings. And just the way that students learn differently, not even from when I was in school, but just, as I said, in the last 5 years. It's a lot different. They're more project-based learning. There's less of staying in rows and doing things, and we need to consider that when we consider our buildings. Another important part of this process for me will be to plan, and today is just the beginning, but to take the district through a plan that will really see what we'll be doing over the next 7, 8, 9, 10.
In our minds, the process is more about what the people in the district want and what we hear from you than it is us walking away and designing something, coming back and saying, here's what you need. And I think that because of that, we're looking at new ways to look at buildings. And this is your opportunity to try to instill some of that into a project. Yeah.
It's even more basic for me. It's like a little window into how education is done today, as opposed to how it was when I went through the elementary school.
Bingo. Here. Administration has had strategic planning with a pretty large group of people, community, district, and so on, and came up with a number of things. Here. To dream big. We'll figure out how to bring the dreams into a reality within a budget and a schedule. We know that the best opportunity you have for expansion for the moment, or to satisfy this need for the elementary population, is the Yorkshire site. I'm going to show you some things that you might find very interesting. And this is the stuff that we want you to be looking at this afternoon. This is an opportunity to look at that factory learning process that we all are a part of and were a part of, and say, is there another way to look at the building? Instructional areas all around a larger group area with admin as a safety joint, the entry to the building next to admin, so that there's a safety spot where we can control what's going on in and out of the building. And then the community areas, both for the building and is used by the community. And that turns into this plan, and this happens to be in Twin Valley School District now. The admin is the main entry. The community spaces are all right there at the entry, capable of just using evening entry areas. The center part is our whole community core. We get administration, we get the media center overlooking a large group area, which, by the way, is also used for teacher training. And so this is a small group instruction area, because each community needs a couple of things. A community needs a small space where I can go and talk to you individually. A community needs a group space where I can be learning with a group of people in a similar fashion. And a community needs a place where we can interact as a whole within that small community. And then a community needs a place where I can bring everybody together at once. And so that's what this thing's built around. It's built around one-on-one. It's built around this kind of interaction that a classroom has. It's built around project-based learning. It's built around everybody together and all those community spaces that we use. Project touchstones. And you can add to these or change these if you like. But the district would like to look to the future. We'd like to design in flexibility to these buildings so that when we make an educational change 20 years from now, the building can change to accommodate that. And as you all know, one of the biggest changes today is technology, and how do buildings accommodate that. This comes up again and again, and rightfully so. Design in a fiscally responsible manner. Create equity and parity across the district. Create child-friendly environments. And our design schedule needs to meet these enrollment issues, these growths that we're talking about. So everything we do needs to look back at these things as we're going forth here. Okay, so you saw how kids are learning. We're going to listen to Dr. Ketterman's thought process.
A lot of this you've been hearing. Students work a lot in small groups. teachers are constantly working with small groups. Gone are the days when they're standing up in front and the desks are all in rows. We have aides that are pushing into the classroom, high school teaching assistants that are coming, and again, with they're providing some great intervention and great assistance to our kids, but of course with that comes they need a space, just even a physical space that they can work with kids. There's a lot of movement about the room. If you were to come in at any given time, one of the things I'm hoping you will appreciate from seeing some of these pictures is just the demand for space. This group is working on the floor, again, just to have a space. They have 3 aides for kid writing that go in at one time, so space is of a premium. Reading is, of course, something that's very, very important in the primary classroom, and so a lot of our teachers try to create their little comfortable reading areas, something that's very important. A big piece of the current primary classroom is a concept. Literacy workstations is what we call it. If you can remember back when you were in school, perhaps you would have reading groups where again the teacher would be trying to differentiate learning, and typically while she was meeting with 4 or 5 students, everyone else was sitting at their desk with a packet, a worksheet, where you were doing different types of activities in the packet and you can turn the page and do the next one. Well, those days are gone. One of the things that the guru in this, Debbie Diller, found, they did all these studies to find out what's the perfect group size for younger learners in particular. And the answer was 2. So, of course, as the teachers were sitting there thinking, okay, we have to have stations for everyone, but there's only 2 to a station. Well, of course, your mouth drops. You think, I've got to have 10 stations running at once, but you know what? They're doing it. But again, you'll see they're trying to find every little available space to make a station. This is at the bottom. Again, teachers just utilizing every space they have. You can see the desk leg on the left. She's down at there's a whiteboard that's attached to the back of their coat closet, actually, down on the floor. And so again, it's a station. And unfortunately, I didn't get pictures when the kids were in here, but I got Tim, who's working hard and fast, because on a normal day that we didn't dismiss early, he would have had to get this turned around for the gym class that has to come in 10 to 15 minutes. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, but again, the real experts, and I see that the teachers have an opportunity. I mean, the people that are there, and at Valley View we've got a fantastic staff that, would have wonderful, wonderful ideas. So I'm anxious and glad to see that in the time frame that there's an opportunity for more teachers to be involved.
Talk about what this term means, this term green that everybody is being saturated with through the media, through advertisements, through companies. When we talk about sustainable building, now focus more into the building side, there's a lot of motivations for it, and a lot of it has to do with community benefits, because we're reducing the impact on our environment at large, increasing pollution, greenhouse gases, water use reductions, energy savings, cost savings to operate these buildings, noise pollution. So what does this all mean? What is sustainable building? A great example is to just go back to nature and look what nature does to make solid structures that work and work well. And a tree is a perfect example. We have a great structural system. We have a great power generator on the top. It brings its own food from its own local area. It supports itself. It regenerates itself. Any power that it's using and water that it's creating to make the fuel to keep it going is released back into the atmosphere so that it can fall down and recreate itself. It's what we call a closed-loop system. It's not wasting anything. It's using everything it's around and giving back to itself so it can keep itself going. So we make buildings do the same thing. There's a lot of organizations out right now that claim that this is what it means to be green, but what's the right one? Who has the governing authority over this, and how do we know our building is green? How do we quantify this? And this is where the USGBC came from. In the early 90s, they stepped to the front and they came up with a definition to say this is what green building is. And you read for yourself, and what they did, what came out of it is the LEED system. And the LEED system is what it stands for. It's an acronym for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. And it's a system that focuses on the building as a whole, how it affects the communities, And so it's a broad look at what sustainable building is.
I just have one question.
Yes.
You know, I'm interested in this and was pleased to hear that it's a standard now. One aspect of it that I was unaware of was the recycling of building products when you're building or tearing down. Is any of that available to us with a place like Yorkshire?
If it's possible to take something from your building and reuse it, absolutely. But there's other methods of